afternoon to you all. I'm going to be speaker as well as the moderator for this particular session. I've been listening to all the speakers for past couple of days. Something that struck me, I'm going to highlight that particular point. Being last session, I'm also going to be a little bit provocative so that you go back with some sort of thought processes. We have been talking about the Western culture, Stanford universities, and then whatever is happening in the West, We have not talked about what is happening in the East. East has contributed a whole lot, from Japan to Korea, Malaysia, they have done a wonderful job at it, And part of the thing, is that why am I bringing in the Japanese culture, is that some sort of a synergy between the Eastern philosophies, Nagoya University, the professor is supreme. The industry comes later on. So if suppose the industrialist is going to come, he is going to ask for a time from the professor. Do we have that type of a respect in my country? We are going, begging, for some sort of a funding. We are saying, that we must have industry tie-ups and so on and so forth, Industry is not feeling the need for it, We kept on talking about compatibility between the two. For example, R&D, which particular industry is doing R&D? Very, very few. You talk about Infosys, you talk about TCS, they're not doing any sort of a high-end type of R&D. They're doing body shopping, Fine, it has got its own merit. It provides my student the necessity, to get employed. So my big urge, is that we need to really look inward. We got to figure it out how our faculty is going to be sort of respected in the society at large, and then I think things will start happening. The second part, which I kind of was a little bit concerned, is that we didn't talk about the government departments. I was a part of National Knowledge Commission on the engineering education, and we gave some recommendations, to Sam Pitroda. And one of the things, that we were talking about, is that just like MBBS, why don't we have just Bachelor of Engineering, period? You teach him everything, from metallurgy to the chemical to mechanical to computer science to whatever. After all, the doctors don't go for the specialization, at the bachelor's level, right? So why not in engineering? There are some issues, and obviously we are stuck up with that, But when we start talking about this particular skill, now the skill sets that are required, in the hardcore engineering, they are more or less identical. Fine, you have got automation, and then you've got robots, which are controlling all the automobile factories and so on and so forth, But we need to essentially look at what sort of skill sets are required in the computer science and engineering. Right now we were talking about big data and cloud computing, right? As a matter of fact, one of the critical area, the data is generated because there are so many sensors, I have got automobile data, and it is voluminous type of a data. We're talking about petabytes of data, from terabytes now. In 3 years, we are talking about a petabyte, Some data you need to cull it out, because that is going to be relevant data. There would be a lot of data which is ridiculously, it's a waste, it's a garbage, So how you will be able to sort it out, You need to have inductive as well as descriptive type of statistical tools, Suppose if I tell you, and I believe, some of you who are in the higher academic institutions, you would concur with me, it is very difficult to find out mathematics with statistics as a specialization to join. There are, the IITs are crying right now, that they don't have statistics as a statistics speciality, specialization, they are not able to find it, So when you talk about analytics, how are you going to do the analytics, You need somebody, who has got a trained eyes, for doing this. And this is something, you know, which is very important if you are going to develop the business intelligence and so on and so forth. Part of the skill sets, you know, we have been talking about it, you know, previous generation, let us say 50 years ago, you know, we used to have typically a pyramid that everybody knows about it. One engineer, right? 4 diploma holders and 8 ITA type of people, you know. Now the pyramid has inverted. There is only one person, you know, who is handling the jobs. You know, there are 8 engineers whom we don't know what to do with it. And when we talk about this particular aspect, you know, I think this point was brought in by quite a few earlier speakers, you know, that 2 weeks ago, you know, the IITs, NITs and triple ITs, you know, they have declared 5,500 vacancies. And they want to go one more round, you know. Is engineering losing the sheen? And if engineering is losing the sheen, you know, then why are we pushing it unilaterally from our side, you know? Is there a real need for it or not, you know? The second aspect of it is faculty. Everybody has said, you know, the quality and quantity is not matching right now. There are not enough faculty members, you know. More importantly, you know, what do you want to do with this particular faculty, you know? This is especially in the computer science and electronics communication, you know, this is a very, very rapidly changing dynamic field, you know, knowledge base is changing, you know. So what sort of a motivation my faculty is having in learning new things? You know, because now I'm pushing him, you know. So even in your big data, you know, what I had identified, you know, saying, you know, that the core of computer science and engineering, let us say data structures, algorithms, coding, you know, compiler designs, etc. Now they have to be taken over by big data, analytics, you know, mobile computing, cloud computing, and so on and so forth, you know. What do we do with the fundamentals, you know? As a matter of fact, you know, I on my own institute, you know, I have got a lot of tie-ups, you know. I have got IBM on my campus, I have got Microsoft on my campus, I have got HCL, I have got a National Instruments, I have got a Texas Instrument. So I'm okay with it, you know, basically because I have realized, you know, that I don't have everything, you know, that the industry is needing tomorrow. You know, so they come induct the faculty development programs on my campus. You know, I send my people. So sending them over there to the industry, you know, for the internship is one way of familiarizing my own faculty, you know, to do this type of a thing. So we have got very complex type of a situation. On one side, you know, all of us are excited, make in India, you know, and then we need to make big impact and so on and so forth. On the other hand, you know, we have got this type of contradictory type of a thing, you know, there is no enough faculty, there are mushrooming engineering colleges, there are so many seats that are going vacant even in the high-end type of engineering institutes, you know. So we have to really think about it, you know, whether we are ready for this type of a rapid change, you know, or would we need some time, you know, to absorb this particular thing and go systematically. We talked about the cost-efficient type of a technologies that have been developed. In the past 20, 25 years, you know, the cost of the desktops, you know, and the laptops, you know, and then iPads and so on and so forth, it has come down dramatically. So that particular thing can be used, you know. What Suri was showing, you know, as a simulation type of a tools, they are also available currently, you know. So the dynamic teaching is also a possibility, you know. So this particular thing has happened in a big way, you know. The smartphones that we are talking about, we hardly use the phones, you know, for a conventional sense, you know, like for calling somebody over the telephone. You know, that's just about 25%, 30%. Rest everything is camera, music, you know, then recording, photography and whatnot, you know. So I just had a sort of a curious thought, you know, what Alexander Bell, you know, and Thomas Edison would have done in today's world. Because they were the pioneers in all these technology revolutions, right? You know, I mean, the electronic communication and so on and so forth. So how they would have adopted into all these things, you know. Technology is available, technology is cheap, and we are using some of this, you know, in the classroom. But there are problems, saying, that what is the golden mean, where I would be able to strike this particular golden mean, and whether the student is going to absorb it, whether I have got a qualified faculty to teach them whatever it is. So adjunct professorships, the industry people coming and taking the courses. Then again, the academic institution, they have got a problem, because most of the cases now you are saying without PhD you cannot enter into the academic disciplines and so on and so forth, So there are contradictions aplenty, and these types of contradictions, we will have to deal with, tackle with, and move forward, the opportunity that ELETS provides, for us to meet at least once or twice in a year, it is really excellent, because people with like-minded thoughts, they come across, we get to know across the borders, what is happening everywhere, So from Bangladesh to Ottawa in Canada, and then we had a wonderful time over here. I would like to thank ELETS for this. And I wish all of you, would be able to put in your two-bit thought worth, and then come across, and probably contact ELETS, about what you felt like, Thank you. And